SEC play starts Wednesday. Just how do you feel about this team's growth throughout non-conference play and just where they are going into conference play?
Yeah, really excited to get started, especially at home this week. And I feel like from where we started at the end of August to where we are now, we are a significantly better team in a lot of ways. I think number one, just the cohesion of this group has come a long way. I think I told you guys back a couple weeks ago it was going to take some time with some of the younger players and the transfers to get on the same page. And I feel like we've been able to do that a little bit better week by week. I think our blocking and our floor defense has come a long way in the last couple of weeks. So I'm excited about that. But I think we've been able to play a lot of people over the last couple weeks. I think the experience for everybody has been good. This team is deep. We still need to get healthy in a few areas, but I feel really good about where we are as a group going into Wednesday.
Hey, Coach, you kind of already touched on it, but what was your reaction when you kind of see these transfers and returning players mesh so well and so quickly?
Well, I knew it was going to happen. It was just a matter of how quickly it was going to happen, and sometimes you can't speed it up. It's just got to take its time, and through practice, through them spending time together off the court, some of the stuff we did in the preseason, I felt like and having them here this summer, it just the chemistry on the court takes time, and you can only get so much of that in practice. It's really those game reps that become really important. And so I think, you saw it in, I would say week 2 start to get a little bit better. Week 3 definitely better, and then this last weekend, I thought really really good. And it's some of it is them playing together. Some of it is us being able to settle in on a little bit more consistency in the lineup. But again, I knew it was going to happen. It was just more a matter of time.
Hayden's been really strong for you guys the last few weeks since kind of having an off day against Purdue. Just what have you seen in her to kind of spark that change? Was that just sort of an off day for her? Just, what's led to that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for Hayden is just the belief in herself. She's a tremendous player, one of the best players I've ever coached. She's got an unbelievable skill set. She really can do anything, and she can play at an extremely high level. And the more Hayden believes that she can do that, the more you're going to see performances like you have the last couple of weeks. So I'm really excited for where she is and her growth. You saw some glimpses of it last season, and I think started the season kind of really having to fight to get in the starting lineup, and she's done that, and she's performed great.
How have those power conference matchups against Purdue and Georgia Tech prepared this team for conference play?
Yeah, that's always the goal in the non-conference is you want to play a little bit of everything just to challenge your team to see different styles. You don't know what you're going to see in the NCAA tournament, and so it's important. I think we play a little bit of both, and again, home and away. We got a neutral match. Just all of those experiences help this team grow throughout the season, even if they don't realize it at the time. We're able to draw on those experiences later on, But I think certainly the match versus Purdue and the match versus Georgia Tech, from a physical standpoint, really they both challenged us quite a bit. The match versus Purdue, and then you turn around to how we played against Georgia Tech, and I think that you saw a very different team, and there was a lot of conversation about we had growth after that Purdue match. We didn't play our best, and Purdue played well, not to take anything away from them, but we certainly didn't walk out of the match feeling like we played our best. And so when we had another opportunity, I think the team was much more prepared.
Coach, you talked about the cohesion of your group, but how would you like how they have responded to adversity, whether you guys are down in a set or maybe you're up and then your opponent goes on a run? How have you liked how they responded to that?
Well, what I really liked was the first set against Kennesaw. I think we were playing poorly, for lack of a better word. We were not playing well, and Kennesaw was playing hard, as we knew we would, and they were making some plays, and but we made a number of unforced errors, and we got ourselves into a pretty significant hole in that first set, which in volleyball you don't often see teams find a way to come out being down 6 or 7, especially that late in the match. So that gave me a lot of belief about this team and their ability to to come back, to believe in themselves. I just think that was a big moment for this group to find a way to win that set. Whether we would have won that match or not, I know winning that set was important for this group, and I was really proud of them. It was great to watch. Everybody kind of understood, hey, like I got to do my job, I got to fill my role. That last time out, we talked about just like you got to do what you're out there to do, and I thought after that they did that, and they made some really nice plays, and then I think that turned the momentum of the match. So I would say that was a big moment for this group, and I would also say the match against Georgia Tech, winning the first two sets 25-23, and then losing the third set 25-23. I think our team had an opportunity in that fourth to go one way or another. And if you've watched enough volleyball, a lot of times those matches end up in 5 sets, and they didn't. That match didn't. We came out and we totally dominated set 4. So I think I've seen some glimpses of what this team's capable of when they're, like you said, down, or have a choice of which way the momentum's going to sway, and they've been able to grab it.
I just had a couple housekeeping questions. Bryn Williams hasn't played since September 4th. Do you have an update on her status?
Yeah, hope to have her back very soon. That's, hopefully really, really soon.
And then it looked like Claudia had posted about getting back on the court. Just how has she progressed, and do you expect her to be back soon as well?
Yeah, I expect us to be, knock on wood, fully healthy very quickly. So really excited about that going into conference play, to have all 19 players back and healthy and practicing and playing. That's been a strength for this group, is that we've been able to lose a couple key players and still be able to have success, which, you can't do every single year unless you've got the depth that we do. So we've talked about that with this group, how important and how it's a strength of ours to have the depth we have, and we have needed it, certainly with having a couple of players out. But yeah, we expect to have all those guys back pretty quickly, which we're excited about.
And then Kiki, she hasn't played in a few games. Is that health-wise, or is that just due to kind of what you're finding with your middles?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been a battle. Again, like the depth for this group is a strength, and so we've had a number of position battles, and people having to really fight. As we talked about Hayden, earlier, just having to fight to get in the lineup, and the way Chelsea and Zoe have been playing, it's been great for us, and it's been working, and Kiki's doing what Kiki does, and she's playing great, and it's we're going to need her for sure, and so especially going into conference play, I think everybody's ready, and that's been one of the strengths of this team. Again, is just every day they can go head to head and compete at a really high level.
We've been talking a lot about Peyton and Chelsea since last season, and really how they've been noticeable on the court. So what do you think about their game allows them to be so noticeable and gain so much success earlier on in their career here?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the experience they gained last season, and you don't always want to play freshmen as a coach. It can be scary to put them out there when you don't always know what you're going to get. But that experience that they both gained last year was so valuable, and I think you're seeing that this season. They're much more prepared. They're I don't want to say they're completely seasoned, but that last year, they got a lot of experience. And so both of them have tremendous physical upside. I mean, they're both long and athletic, and, Peyton's got a, super fast arm. She loves to score. Chelsea loves to block, so they just have really high level skill sets. But I think the most important piece for them was getting out on the floor and really getting game experience in high level matches. I mean, both of them, played a number of SEC matches postseason, so they got that under their belt last year. And so I think you're seeing that this season, that they're really prepared.
You mentioned Zoe, she come in as a redshirt freshman. What has she kind of shown you, and how has she kind of carved out a spot for herself?
Yeah, I mean, Zoe came to us last January, and one of the things we noticed right away was just her knack for blocking. It's something she came in with, and I remember recruiting her, out of high school. I was like, man, this kid's a great natural blocker. She's super quick, has really good instincts. So for her, it was getting adjusted to the college game speed and our system and how we do things. But she was here all spring. She worked her butt off in the weight room. In practice, she works hard every single day. She was here throughout the summer, and and going into August, she's really understood that like she's got to be a little bit more of an offensive option. As she doesn't have to get 20 or 30 sets a game, but we got to be able to give her some balls for her to be able to put them away. And I think that growth for her has been really big over the last couple of weeks. But her blocking is really what's been kind of the differentiator. Some of the things don't even go in a stat book. You may not see total blocks, but the amount of balls she touches, that she slows people down, or she makes attackers have to do something else just because of her size, has really helped our defense.
What do you think the transfers, there's obviously a lot of veteran presence that came into the locker room over the offseason. So people like Golchi, Starr, what do you think they can add to a SEC run compared to last season?
Yeah, I mean, again, similar. Gigi and Starr came in January, so we've had them for a little while now. So they were able to acclimate systematically, a little faster than maybe Bryn or Sydney Jones, who came to us later. But those guys, they're multi-year starters. They've played in a lot of matches. They've gotten a ton of experience. I mean, Star's used to getting set. She's used to getting kills. She's used to getting the ball when you need a point. She is a point scorer. That's what Star does really, really well, and that's what she's done her entire career. She's been able to play on both pins, so we've been able to utilize her in. When we've gone to the 6-2, we've been able to, put her on the right side. When we've been in the 5-1, she's been a little bit more on the left side. So we've done a little bit of both with her, which is, she's totally good with. She's versatile in that way. But again, I think just for her, like she's played in a lot of matches, and obviously Gigi, same thing. She's been out there, in a Final Four. She's been the libero in a number of, big matches with a lot on the line, big crowds, so she's pretty steady in that realm. I think that experience is just invaluable. You can't teach it. It's just, so them coming in with that. And then Bryn is similar. She's played in a lot of matches, and going into her final season, she's been a go-to attacker. She's been somebody who's handled the passing responsibilities. And so, again, you can't replicate that any other way. And so it's great when you have players who come in and have had those reps, especially multiple years of them.